Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Truth. If you're listening on Spotify, you can find the video versions of these episodes on YouTube at Unfiltered Truth 7. If you're on YouTube, first of all, hit like and subscribe. That helps me out. Appreciate it. But if you want to hear the audio only version, you can find me on Spotify at Unfiltered Truth. Also, my website, unfilteredtruth.net. If I'm talking about something that you happen to be going through and you feel like you might be able to benefit from, some advice or some counseling type stuff, I've been doing that for forever. So if you are interested in that, I do have that available for you, whether it is via phone or video. If you are local and I know you, I might meet you in person, but it depends on who you are and how I know you. Just saying. Got to be safe out here. Okay, anyway. I think it's funny that like my last episode right before this was Grow Where You're Planted, and I happened to wear this shirt today. I think it's hilarious that in every single video, the shirt that I have on goes with what I'm talking about, and I never plan any of that out, by the way. So that's just a little side note. This episode, though, is called The Power of Submission. I was not planning on recording this today, but because I brought it up in my previous episode, I figured we may as well knock this one out too. So, the power of submission. And I know so many people do not like that word, submission, but if you understand it, it's not as bad as you think. Okay, so we're going to talk about the power of submission. Of course, I want to open it up with a piece of text, and this is coming from 1 Samuel 15:22, and it says, but Samuel replied, what is more pleasing to the Lord, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, or your obedience to his voice? Listen, obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission is better than offering the fat of rams. Okay, so I want to talk about the power of submission in terms of every situation that we could be in, whether you are submitting to a partner, whether you're submitting to a boss or, the minister at your church or, some other authority figure in your life. Okay. Submission is where you are honoring the other person's perspective, wishes, outlook, opinions, okay, and feelings, most importantly. All right. So some people do not like the word submission because they feel like they are becoming a doormat. That means that this person is going to take all the control of your whole life and they're going to run you over and just run you flat and ragged, and you won't have nothing to say for yourself. Okay. You're just going to be out there looking crazy, doing whatever they want you to do. That is not necessarily submission. That's really not submission. That is being bullied. That is a whole different thing. Okay. Submission, and the reason why I call it the power of submission is because it's a choice. You choose to submit to someone. Okay. And you're submitting to that person or that authority figure or partner or whatever the case may be because you have respect for them. You're submitting out of respect. Okay. Now you can have respect for a person's title, position, or role in your life and submit to them out of respect for them, knowing full well that what they want is crazy and ridiculous and stupid. Okay. There are some times where that's the case. But guess what? When you submit, if that person technically is responsible for you in a certain way, like let's say that it is a wife submitting to her husband. Okay. Everybody has their own philosophies on this. I'm not trying to turn this into no, men versus women debate type stuff. I don't get into all of that at all. So miss me with any of that. You got comments like that, tell them to somebody else because I'm going to block you. But anyway, Yeah, so if some people, women especially sometimes will say they don't that word submit or obey or whatever, like it makes them feel a certain type of way. And usually it makes a woman feel a certain way because of trauma that they have experienced in the past. I know that's the case for me anyway. Back in the day, I did not like that word either. I hated the idea of a man controlling me or what have you. So that word submit or obey, it made me feel some type of way, right? But what I've learned, especially after being married, and I've talked about this in a previous episode. So if you did not miss that, if you missed that, then check that out because these two episodes kind of go together. But what I found in there is that wives are supposed to submit to their husbands, right? And the husband is supposed to be the man of the house, and he's supposed to be kind of be the leader, so to speak, or what have you. Now the man is also supposed to submit to his wife, but I'm not a man, so I don't have no control over him submitting to me. I can only control what I do, okay? Which is what I talked about in the episode right before this. So, anyways, what I found is that if you are submitting to someone and you're doing everything that they ask you to do with a positive attitude, you're not trying to be funny, you're not being sarcastic, you're not being passive aggressive or any of that, or even aggressive. Some people can be, right? If you are legit, like coming from a place of love, honor, and respect, submitting to that leader, submitting to that spouse, okay, and they happen to be leading you down a faulty path, that's not even your issue because God is going to deal with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so guess what? The power of submission is letting that man or leader be led by God. Okay. Now, if he choose not to listen to God, if the leader choose not to listen to God, if the leader or the man or whatever the boss or whatever the situation is decides that they want to follow their ego, they want to follow their feelings, they want to follow, the opinions of others, or they want to follow whatever their own personal agenda or whatever, okay? That's between them and God. It is, because they have the charge of being your leader to a certain extent, okay? So if it's your boss, if it's your spiritual leader, obviously they have that charge. So if they're moving on their own personal agenda, motives, feelings, whatever, ego, that's between them and God. It is. And when you're married, same thing. Just like men are supposed to submit to their wives, same thing. If you're submitting to your wife and you're, honoring her feelings, you doing everything that she want for you to do, you are, doing your best to uphold, a right standing within the relationship, provide for your household, nurture your children, etc., etc. You doing all the things, you checking all the boxes and stuff. But you're doing this from a place of love and out of respect and honoring her feelings and her perspective and what it is that she wants. If you're doing all of that and she is still dogging you out, that's between her and God, and vice versa. If, as a woman, if I'm submitting myself to a man in a relationship and he decides that he wants to take us, because he's driving this ship, he wants to take us all the way off road to go do whatever he want to do, and I submitted to him, and so now we out here and we struggling, or we doing whatever. If he is not hearing directly from God, and so these challenges are not from God, but they are consequences for his own actions, selfish intentions, or what have you, or whatever, again, that is between him and God. Okay, so it is my responsibility to do what I know God called me to do, which is, one, submit to whoever is my leader, whether that be my boss, whether that be a pastor, a minister, or whether that be, a partner that I'm involved with, or what have you. If God commanded me to submit to said person, then that's what my job is. Okay, my job is not to get behind the steering wheel and try to also lead the ship. Like, that's not what that is. If that is what I try to do, okay, and I know that sometimes, especially if you are a backseat driver, you might get a little tense, a little anxious when you see the vehicle not going where it's supposed to go. Okay. So let's say, you know, you trying to go to a certain place and you know what the exit is. Okay. You see the exit, you know the route. Okay. You in the car, but you're not driving. And you see this person driving the car, you in the back seat. So you are fully submitted. You can't even reach over and grab the steering wheel if you wanted to. All right. You in the back seat. So you just got to ride and go where this ride is taking you. All right. Now, if that driver needs some tissue, they need a snack, they need a piece of gum, or, you know, they want the radio changed or what have you, that's your role. You support. You support by submitting. Okay. And you don't try to tell them, oh, do this, do that, go here, go there, or whatever, because you are submitting to their leadership. You're allowing them to drive the vehicle where it needs to go. And you trust that they are being led by GPS or by the spirit or by what they already know, you know, to get to that certain place that you're going to. Okay. So when you are fully submitted, you're allowing that person to do what they're going to do. Now, what happens when you see, oh no, we going the wrong way, this is a bad turn, okay? You can speak up and try to take charge, or you can just submit. Let them make the mistake. Let them make the mistake. If you know that they're making a mistake and they did not ask you and they're in charge of you, you have submitted to them, pray. Pray for their eyes to be open, their hearts to be open, for them to have clarity and understanding around whatever the situation might be. And you let God work with that person, because that person is technically supposed to be following God. Now, if they don't listen, if they don't tune in to hear his voice, if they're not trying to, you know, live in the right way so that they can provide that proper leadership, that is not your problem. That is their situation. That is their situation that they have created between them and God. That is not your fault. Okay. So if they're taking you down the wrong path and God says, continue where you are, he could be trying to teach them something. Okay. What I've learned from personal experience is, as much as I used to hate the word submission and, you know, things like that, the idea of submitting to a man, what if he take me all the way over here, all off course, and, you know, he wreck and ruin my life? Okay. First of all, God is in me as well. Okay. And so, you know, if he's in me and I'm doing all the things that I should be doing, he's not going to give me a person that would not listen to him or follow him, because he knows how important that is to me. Okay. Now, years ago, years with lots of S's, long ago, when I was afraid of a commitment, when I was terrified of submitting to a man, yes, I would have absolutely spoken up, took the wheel, probably got out the car, probably got in my own car, probably drove myself. I would have did all of that. Okay. But what I have learned from experience is the weight that a man feels, the weight that a leader feels, the weight that a parent feels when they have been charged with being responsible for navigating whatever obstacles and circumstances to carry or lead those he's in charge of to a specific place or a certain outcome. That weight is heavy. And if that man, real or partner or boss or whatever, minister, really cares about how people end up that he is in charge of, he's going to take that thing seriously. And if he messes up, he's going to feel it way worse than you ever could. You're frustrated because it's an inconvenience. He is devastated because he failed his mission. Those two things are not the same. Okay. So you hear me saying he a lot because I'm a woman and this is how we usually talk about submission. But like I said, this also goes for your bosses. Sometimes we know that our boss is making a mistake, that our boss should not do this way. They should do it this way instead. Now, if you have done everything you try to do, you try to have good conversations, you try to like gently, suggest something or whatever, and they overlooked you, they didn't want to hear you, or they just outright disrespected you or whatever. Okay, fine. Throw your hands up. Be submissive. Let that boss do what they gonna do. Now, if it blow up in their face, guess who face it blew up in? Theirs, not yours. You did what you were supposed to do. You were an employee. You stayed in your lane. You was respectful. You did what you were supposed to do. Okay. Did the plan work? No, it did not. Did the system fail? Yes, it did. Guess whose fault that is? Not yours. That is the person who was in charge. Okay. So, and this is the same for any type of dynamic, whether it be a relationship, whether it be your, spiritual leader or what have you, your pastor, whatever, or, one of your parents even, or whatever, whoever it is that God has commanded you to submit to. If they are taking you down a wrong path and you know that, and you have done what you could to gently suggest, to be respectful, to, try to pray on it and let God put that thing in their ear or whatever, at that point, it's not on you no more. It is fully on them. The weight of that responsibility is fully in their lap. Okay. And so that's for them. If they don't do what they're supposed to do, that was them being disobedient and not taking heed to what God was trying to tell them to do. So it's going to be worse. The consequences for that person will be way worse, because not only were they supposed to listen for their own behalf, but they were also supposed to listen because they have all these other people that they're responsible for. Okay. So let people make the mistakes. If they're in charge, let them make the mistakes. That don't mean sit back with your arms folded, watching them fail and talking about them. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, maybe they haven't received the word yet. Maybe they have too many other things going on in their mind that is kind of like clouding their vision or clouding their ability to hear the Spirit. Maybe they're too busy and they're not even taking the time out to sit in the presence of the Lord to hear and seek Him. Okay, so that's why it's important to pray. When you pray, knowing that you are doing everything that you're supposed to do, every single thing that God called you to do, you are doing those things, and you are doing it from a place of submission first and foremost to God. He's the one that you ultimately and most importantly submit to. So if you are submitted to Him, you can feel Him leading you to also submit to whatever person is in charge, whether it's the leader or whether it's, somebody else, your boss or your partner or whatever. Okay. So if you know, like, you're following God, God is not going to put you in a situation where He's going to cause you or command you to be outright disrespectful to someone. Honor what they're saying. Honor what they're, take it into consideration. Be respectful. Comply. Even if you don't agree, comply. Do what they are asking you to do. Okay. I can't help but to use an example that we have kind of talked about before. I did, put a big pause on my business. I was not sure whether I was going to have to shut it down permanently or not. There was a lot going on around all of that. I've talked about it a million times. Don't really want to rehash it again. But, I was in prayer during that time. And me pausing it or shutting it down was really as a means of submission to God. Okay. It wasn't about me doing this because I want to make other people happy or I want to just, get them to shut up or whatever. It wasn't about that. It was about me submitting to God because I needed to hear a word from Him. And so let me just get this all out the way. Let me just put this all the way over here, all the way out the way so that I can hear directly from Him. How does He want me to proceed, whether it be to shut it down permanently or whether, something just needs to change with it or where I'm at or whatever. Okay. So I was in prayer for a long time and I was making sure that I was not leaning on my own understanding, but leaning on Him. I needed Him to guide me, to direct me, to let me know what to do one step at a time. And I am very familiar with His voice. So there are some things that, you know, I was doing just in my own personal life, as far as like, uh, food choices, just, random stuff, how much water I'm drinking, how much sleep I'm getting or not getting or whatever. It was just very small things like that. Sometimes when you just cut out the big thing that is stressing you, and you just tune in for even those little small things, then that voice gets louder and it's so much easier to hear. It's so much more clarity that you get from that help you with the bigger things when you submit in just even the small things. So instead of the next time you just like, oh, I feel like eating such and such, or I got a taste for such and such, or I think I want to hang out with whoever, or I think I want to go over here or whatever, instead of just following your flesh from one second to the next, really tune in and ask God, hey, what do you want for me to eat? Who do you want me to be around today? Or do you want me to just be on my own? Do you want me to just spend time with you and no one else? Or what should I do today? What should I wear today? Show me what to wear today. Show me what to do. And, these very small, it seems like petty prayers, they are tremendous in God's eyes because you are submitting your will to His. Okay. One thing I started doing years ago was soon as I wake up in the morning, before I even get out of bed, before I even really open my eyes, my alarm goes off. I'm kind of like, hitting snooze. But once I, am halfway awake, I just, I thank God and I praise Him for just being Him. So I lay there just completely in awe of Him, being, in prayer, giving full thanks and gratitude to Him. After that, I ask Him to show me my day, show me what I need to wear. And what happens in those few moments, He brings everything to my mind that is important, all the important assignments, meetings or tasks I need to handle. He allows me to see myself going through the day and remembering all the things that need to be done. As He gives me that vision of myself going through the day, He also shows me what I need to pack for my lunch, what I need to wear, and, just how to do my hair, just, different kinds of things like that. And you know what? I do what He tells me to do. There are some times where, I would normally eat breakfast at such and such a time. But there are some times when I get up and He's like, no, we're not doing that today. And then next thing you know, it's 3, 4, 5 days later and I've been on a water fast this whole time without even planning it out. When you let God lead you step by step and you are fully submitted to His divine and perfect will, you can never go wrong. So even if there is a person in charge of you, even if a person in your life is someone you're technically supposed to submit to, but they are taking you all kinds of ways off course, let them do what they're going to do. Just respect what they say, respect what they want, respect what they're asking you to do, and comply. Okay. No, you may not always agree, but you know what? In a healthy situation, if your partner is telling you, hey, I need more quality time, that's what I need. You may in your mind be like, for what? We ain't doing nothing but sitting up here watching this game on the couch or whatever. Like, that's not no quality time. Quality time to me is when we sitting face to face and we talking and holding hands in a field of flowers or whatever. Okay. No, not really. That's not, well, I do like nature, but anyways, that you might be thinking something like that. Okay. Like, this ain't even really no quality time. It don't matter, because if that's what your partner said they want or they need, honor that. That means start learning the game, start learning the plays and stuff so that you can actually enjoy it when you watch it with him on the couch. If that's what he wanted to do, if that's what he feel like he need in order to have a healthy relationship, honor that request and submit to that. Don't matter how you feel, you'll adjust. Okay, just like with anything else. When you was a kid, you probably didn't like broccoli either, but now as an adult, you might still not like it, but you might like it. And if you do like it, maybe you didn't when you were a kid, but it was the fact that you tried it and the fact that you just, tried it with an open mind. And so then you ended up liking things that were good for you that maybe you didn't like at the time. Okay, so, that's just one example, but When our bosses sometimes even tell us like, hey, do this instead of doing that, or do it this way instead of doing that way, you don't really know the method to their madness. There might be a reason why they want you to staple it in the top left corner instead of in the top right corner. As a teacher, oh my goodness, I can't stand when my kids take staple their paper on the right side instead of the left side, because they write their name on the right side. And so when they put the staple right there, it's hard to see the name that I'm trying to grade for, and it's hard to flip it's just annoying. Okay, that's just not the way I need it on the left side. So I can flip and I can see who it is. I can put them in a stack. I can thumb through and I can see who paper is what and whatever. Okay, so there's a reason for that. Now, the kids may not agree with me. They want to write their name in ginormous letters all across the white space or down onto the blue lines or whatever. You know, they want to do it the way that they want to do it. But it makes it harder for me, because as I'm thumbing through the papers in the right corner, I should see the name. I don't see the name right there. So now I got to investigate whose paper is this. I got to do extra steps. They don't know and don't really care that I got 200 students. So I don't want to go through a stack of 200 papers trying to figure out which one is yours because you didn't put your name in the right spot. Okay, so there's a reason for that. That's the whole point that I'm making. You may not understand why God wants to do a certain thing. You may not understand why God has you in a certain place, why he has you in a certain job, why you're in a certain relationship, why this partner is with you. You may not understand any of that. But when you submit to him wholeheartedly, he will also give you the guidance and the provision and the protection from poor leadership, from poor examples of people that are, you know, leading you in a wrong way, whether it be in your relationship or with your job or what have you. That weight, that burden of them misleading you is not on you. It is not your responsibility to make sure that you're being led properly. Okay, not all the time. Now, yeah, in the beginning, you know, it is a good idea to heal your wounds so that you can attract partners that are going to be healthy for you. You can attract job experiences and opportunities that are going to be in alignment with where you're trying to go in life, your divine purpose and whatnot. Okay, but there's also a thing about, you know, like vetting people, okay? Making sure that people are in alignment with where you're trying to go and the character makeup that you have, so that you can trust them to lead you. But it is not your job to then take over if that person makes a mistake, or if you feel like they're getting ready to make a mistake. There might be a method to what God is trying to do in them, or anything that God might be trying to help that person to see. If they're starting to take you off course and you're quiet, okay, let's go back to that highway example. You're on the highway, they're getting ready to miss their exit or make a wrong turn, or let's say they do. Let's say they just completely miss the exit. They take you all off course. Now you're on a 2-lane highway. You don't even know where you are. That person that is driving a car that is in charge of leading you to your destination is going to feel extremely stressed, because now they don't just have them being inconvenienced, they are also inconveniencing you. They are bringing struggle and hardship into your situation because they were not submitted in the right way to the GPS or to God, whatever it might be. That is for them. That could be a whole lesson that God is trying to teach them. Like, you got to be careful with how you leading folks, because they following you. And if you leading them down the wrong path, if you're not listening to me first and foremost, you're going to lead them down your own way with your own ego. And that is absolutely going to take them to a horrible place off track. So no, you need to always keep me as your pilot, and you are the co-pilot. You are not the main pilot. So simmer that ego down. God might be trying to have a conversation like that directly with the person that is in charge of leading you. And when you try to take over, guess what? You get in the way. He can't hear nothing. They can't hear nothing. Whoever your leader is, your boss or whatever, they can't hear nothing, because here you go, all in the way, all in their ear, telling them how you think it should go, what you think they should be doing, yada, yada, yada. Who asked you? Who asked you? No one. You know why? Because that leader is not submitted to you. That's not how it works. Okay. Now, a healthy relationship, the partner driving the car would probably lean on their spouse a little bit, because it's supposed to be a team and a help meet and all of that type of stuff. But I'm just saying, in general, there is so much power in submission. Okay. Start with the very small things with God, and then work up to the bigger things with people, okay? Knowing that God is always in charge of all. On that note, I hope you have a great day. Please hit the like and subscribe on your way out if this message resonated with you, and feel free to share if you got something from it. Have a great day.